Welcome to Johnny Talk Sports. So, college football is just 2 weeks away. And to kind of get us prepared for the first release of the Associated Press poll of the season, I thought it'd be best to do my preseason top 25. And tonight I am joined by Ardent Sports. How you doing tonight, man?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. Glad I'm not going to be the only one to put my foot in my mouth this year.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I know it's kind of such short notice. I kind of reached out to you this afternoon.
Yeah, reached out to me 6 hours ago. I'm like, don't know a whole lot about college football. I'm more of an NFL guy myself. So let's see how this goes.
All right, before we get to that, you want to talk about your channel for a little bit? Kind of get the viewers to subscribe to you?
So yeah, I have this one. Well, I'm doing 3 series right now. One of which Johnny absolutely loves. I do a Miami Marlins franchise and a offensive player road to the show, and also a pitcher road to the show. Strictly, well, I shouldn't say strictly, but mainly I do MLB the show. I'm branching out into Madden. So Johnny loves my Brett Barrett road to the show, which is modeled after TD Barrett, another YouTuber that I like to watch a lot. So if you want to check it out, be sure to subscribe. They're pretty lengthy, but that's because they're all live streams. So I talk to the viewers while I play games. Always fun.
So go on ahead and check that out. You were telling me you might stream after this?
I might. It depends on what time this gets done. I have to be up relatively early tomorrow. So we'll see.
All right.
If not, then tomorrow night.
All right, we'll try to slam this through as much as we can, but
I just want to see Brett Barrett.
Sort of, but I feel like it would make more sense now that you mention it. I really thought about starting off 1 through 25, and I feel like it's best if we go backwards, working from 25 to 1. So I'll let you go first. Who do you got at 25?
Oh, you're making the new guy go first. Okay. So 25, I got the Boise State Broncos. They're coming off their 3rd double-digit win season in 4 seasons. So they're under Brian Harsin. There's no reason to expect any different in 2018. However, got some guys that are kind of struggling from what I've heard and seen in some tapes. But they got to butcher these names here: Brett Rypien and Alexander Madison, that leads a very talented offense. So Boise State Broncos are my number 25.
All right, my number 25 is the South Carolina Gamecocks. And why I have them at number 25, I feel like this is just part of the SEC bias. The way I did mine is I kind of did mine based on how I think the AP is actually going to do this, because I don't know if you were watching last year, but when I did my preseason top 25, the way I reacted to it, I was trying to see if the AP was going to try to, kind of manipulate their rankings a little bit, especially putting Florida State number 3, considering they knew they were playing Alabama week 1, and they wanted to get people to watch that game. And obviously, Florida State did not play at the number 3 team that night against Alabama. So I feel like it's probably a part of their SEC bias. They want to have as many SEC teams as possible in that preseason top 25.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot to banter back and forth on because, like I said, I've definitely watched the other ranking and reaction videos, but not just from you, but from other people. And like I said, this is kind of new to me, so the banter is going to be limited for me. I'll tell you that right now. But we'll get through it. So valid points. So I definitely know what you're talking about. Yeah, having fun.
You probably took more notes than I did, though.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the stuff I'm getting, I reworded from where I looked at some other rankings. So I took like key points and just kind of threw them together.
Yeah, that's always good too.
So no plagiarism, I promise.
All right, so who do you got at 24?
Okay, probably gonna butcher this name again. Gonna do that a lot. I apologize, but the Virginia Tech Okies?
Yep.
Hey, I got it right. So Tremaine and Terrell Edmonds were some of their key defensive players recently, and they're both gone now. So, in my opinion, from what I've seen in the past, they've slipped down this list at least a little bit. Key defensive players with the Edmonds, but you know what? Justin Fuente, he chose not to entertain some massive coaching opportunities at the higher level, chose to return, show his loyalty to Virginia Tech, and I'll be curious to see what happens there. They're going to have to build around their quarterback and Josh Jackson, but we'll have to see what happens. Virginia Tech at 24.
Okay, number 24, really no bias here, but the Texas A&M Aggies. Again, I just feel like this is part of that SEC bias, part of the Associated Press trying to manipulate the matchups. Because Texas A&M's got a cakewalk in week 1 against, like, Northwestern State. And if you pay attention to the schedule, who they have at week 2, the Clemson Tigers, who's most likely going to be in the top 3 to start the season. So I think they want to have Texas A&M as a top 25 team to build more ratings for that game. And I feel like we're going to see that a lot. That's kind of where a lot of my rankings were kind of out in the open. That's kind of why I had them that way. Because the object of this is to kind of build as much hype and revenue to each matchup as possible. And I think putting Texas A&M in the top 25, I think it's going to bring them some revenue.
I like it. I'm not gonna lie, Texas A&M did not even crack my top 25.
I wouldn't really expect him to anyway.
Oh, thanks. So, assuming we're moving on to number 23.
Yes.
We have the Mississippi State Bulldogs, now led by Joe Moorhead, the former, one of the former coaches of Penn State, offensive coordinator, I believe he was. So Dan Mullen's gone. So the Bullheads still have more than enough offensive weapons, even without. But, like I said, due to this, so I apologize. This is really broken. I'm just going to stop right there and say that. But Nick Fitzgerald at quarterback and Aris Williams, I believe, at running back. So still a couple good guys that can get some stuff going for the Bulldogs. Not really high on my list. I don't know how high, if even on your list they are, but got the Bulldogs cracking it.
Yeah, we can talk about it now, but they just missed out on my top 25. Like, if I would have done something like teams that just missed out, maybe about 26 or 27. In fact, I think the SEC is going to get completely stacked up with teams outside the top 25. I think you're going to see, like, Mississippi State on the outs, Missouri on the outs, maybe South Carolina on the outs. You'll probably end up seeing some teams like Florida Atlantic maybe crack the top 25, maybe even UCF crack the top 25, despite so much has happened with UCF, with Scott Frost leaving for Nebraska, which everyone in my town has gone nuts over.
It's definitely going to be a different football season, so I actually may have to pay attention this year just to see, so I can actually see just how things change from what I've heard in years past. So may have to see what happens.
All right, number 23, I got Boise State. You kind of covered Boise State earlier. I just feel like you always got to have at least one group of 5 team in that top 25, and that's what Boise State is. I feel like this is kind of the range they're going to put the Broncos in, so I think this is pretty legitimate. All right, who do you got at 22?
22, I actually have the South Carolina Gamecocks, and I just want to take a minute and be like, what the heck is a Gamecock? I mean, come on. What are these names? It's like the Binghamton Ponies. Like, come on. Anyway, so Florida and Tennessee are breaking in first year coaches. So this is a unique opportunity for, I'm going to butcher this name terribly, Will Muschamp something, to lead the Gamecocks. Hopefully have a breakthrough in the SEC East. Jake Bentley is back. He should continue to improve. Having a healthy Deebo Samuel will also be a huge boost to the season this year for the Gamecocks.
And now that you mention that, I feel like the SEC East is going to be stacked this year. Mostly in years past, we've talked about how stacked the West is. But this year it's the East. You've got Georgia, who are probably going to win that division. But you're going to have South Carolina competing. You're going to have Missouri competing with Drew Lock coming back. You're going to have Florida, who's improved. Tennessee, hopefully they've improved. We'll see what happens in week one when they play West Virginia. So I think the SEC East is going to be more stacked than what people think. I don't necessarily think it's going to come down to Georgia and Florida. I feel like anything can happen in the SEC East this year, especially with how Georgia responds this year after a heartbreaking loss in the national championship game last year.
That I do remember just how that game went, and it was. I mean, it was definitely a heartbreaker. Not really so much expected by the majority, from what I remember. I know everyone I talked to had it going the complete opposite way, so I definitely remember how much of a shock that game was.
Okay, number 22, I have the LSU Tigers. Because really, what would a preseason top 25 be without LSU? LSU's, they're pretty consistent. They're always up there, getting about 8 to 9 wins a year. But I think this is just, again, ranking manipulation. That should be the new term that we use around here, ranking manipulation. Ranking manipulation is whether it's the College Football Playoff Committee or the Associated Press or even the coaches poll, where they try to manipulate their rankings to build up drama, to build up hype, and to build revenue for a matchup. And with LSU and Miami playing in week one on, I believe that's the Sunday night game in Cowboy Stadium, you got to build up hype to that. And I feel like LSU's is going to be ranked around here just for that revenue. Maybe they may be ranked higher than what everyone has them as. But it's been bananas at LSU lately with multiple quarterbacks transferring. Joe Burrow, the Ohio State transfer, seemed to lock in the starting role. So it's going to be interesting where they actually put LSU, because I will guarantee that LSU will be in this preseason top 25 on Monday. I guarantee it.
I wouldn't be surprised. We'll actually have to compare, go back, watch this video, look at our lists, and see who is closer, the newbie or the seasoned vet.
Yeah, we'll have to put it in the description box, for people that can't really watch the whole, I don't know, it looks like we've been streaming already for about 12 and a half minutes. So many people that can't watch the whole, how do I estimate this is going to probably round up to about, hopefully somewhere less than 35 minutes.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, 21.
I'd say if you want Brett Barrett, it can't be an hour and 40 minutes like your NFL top 50 prospects were. Anyway.
Yeah, but Sam explained a lot of stuff, though.
He did. I'll give him that. He did. Kind of wish it wasn't just me putting my foot in my mouth as far as the new guy, but oh well. Anyway, number 21 for me may come as a shock. It's going to go to the Texas Longhorns. So the Texas Longhorns, Tom Herman is returning after leading the Longhorns to a bowl win in his first season. The nation's number 3 ranked recruiting class headed to Austin. You good, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm good. It's not really surprising at all. I have Texas a little bit higher in this one.
Again, newbie. I don't know a lot, so. But Texas lost to USC, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State by a combined 11 points in 2017. So Sam Ehlinger,
Yep.
I don't know. He's the quarterback that the program can build around. I'm going to tell you, like I said, don't know names. But what are the Longhorns going to do? How are they going to win the close games this year? We'll have to wait and find out.
And we'll mention it when we get there, but I'll explain it for Texas when we have it. But I think this is opportunity knocks for the Longhorns this year. And I'll explain it when we get there. But number 21, I have the USC Trojans. Now, I know this is going to be a little bit low, but I think it's not too bad with how are they going to respond with Sam Darnold, their post-Sam Darnold era. I feel like this is a solid, kind of outside the top 20 preseason start for USC. I expect USC to, in fact, take a step back this year. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if this is kind of where they ended up when this is all said and done.
I can see it. I can see it. All right. Moving right along. Number 20 for me, the Florida State Seminoles. Willie Taggart. He's a first-year coach. Very talented team he's taking over. So they have a quarterback battle, and they also have the emergence of a star running back named Cam Akers. That should make the transition just a little simpler, maybe not a lot, but at least a little. So what are they going to do, and how are they going to get back to competing for an ACC championship? I have them in number 20, like I said, so seems to be the expectations that they're facing quite a bit lately.
And this is just such a coincidence here. At number 20, I have Virginia Tech. And again, kind of ranking manipulation. Setting up a ranked matchup. Because this is going to be the Labor Day night game. Florida State, Virginia Tech. So it's going to be an interesting matchup. Like you said, Florida State, Willie Taggart's got a talented team that he's taken over, which they did have a bad season, but I feel like with Francois going down in the opener, I think it just ripped the soul out of this Florida State team. And hopefully Willie Taggart gets that soul to come back to Florida State. Because if you just look at NFL, what happened with Aaron Rodgers' seasoning injury, Deshaun Watson seasoning injury, it just ripped the soul out of those teams.
Yeah, I mean, you basically took the words out of my mouth on that one.
But when Carson Wentz went down for the Eagles, they may have let that rip the soul out of the team, but they embraced having that soul ripped out of them, and they came back and put it back in themselves.
All I have to say about the Eagles, just because for those of you who don't know this, even before all the Deflategate and Spygate and Super Bowls and this, that, the other thing, I'm a diehard Patriots fan. So let that be known now. That when Super Bowl 52 came around and Brandon Cooks ran out, all I have to say is, what is happening?
Months or even years, because you deserve paint that's done right. That's
what is going on?
Benjamin,
Are you on Google Chrome right now?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because those ads always pop up when I'm here.
I don't know where it came from. Like, I don't even have anything open, I don't think.
It probably came from like the bottom right of your screens. That's usually what happens with me. Like when I'm on Google Chrome online, they just pop up randomly. Wouldn't surprise me now that I mentioned it happens the next couple of minutes. But who do you got at number 19?
Hang on. Literally the only thing that didn't crash is our call. So a second, just keep talking.
All right, should I maybe do mine first, or
really care.
And then we can just go back.
If you want to go, no, I would say because like we're still good as far as the call goes. So I mean, if you want to give your 19 first, go for it. I'm just saying, I totally just crashed.
All right, my 19 is the Florida Gators, and I really feel like Florida's going to improve this year. I feel like with Dan Mullen being the coach now, I feel like Florida's going to make an improvement. Maybe not a vast improvement. I don't think they're just going to pull an SEC East Division championship out of the behind. But I feel like they're going to win at least 9 games this season. I feel like they got the schedule to do it.
You went way too fast because it's okay. Wait, we're getting it. Sorry for the delay. Okay. So number 19 for me, I actually have the TCU Horned Frogs. I know that one, again, maybe a little even more shocking than Texas, but it's what I got. So the highly touted dual threat quarterback Sean Robinson is going to take over this team. I'm telling you that right now. Capable of making a run back to the Big 12 championship game. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. They have an early test against Ohio State on September 15th, and that's probably going to be the telling factor right there. Gary Patterson has yet another chance to shake up the college football playoff picture.
And I don't even think I had 25, but there was reasons for that. I feel like the Big 12 is not going to be a stat this year. I feel like it's coming down to Oklahoma and Texas in that conference. So I'm kind of thinking about how it might end. But it wouldn't surprise me, though, if they did put TCU in the top 25, because for the third time in the stream, ranking manipulation. Because in week 3, they play Ohio State.
Can we just get like a hashtag of rank manipulation going in the chat or something?
No, yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Like, yeah, I got a whiteboard over here, guys. Like,
oh yeah, that's perfect.
it's literally a calendar. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, but that I haven't updated in forever. But because why not?
Actually, that'd be a good title for this stream actually, ranking manipulation.
It's probably backwards, but there you go.
Ranking. That's probably a good title for that. Maybe instead of like, preseason top 25, just add in hashtag ranking manipulation.
Just throw it in there.
It looks like we got 5 people on right now. I mean, feel free to put stuff in the comment section.
I hope I'm looking at the right. I hope I'm looking at the right chat window because I don't see anyone saying anything.
Oh yeah, we've got some questions in here. We'll get to them at the end, though, guys.
All right, I must be looking at. I must have to really look at the Q&A one then, not the regular chat, because I'm not seeing any of this.
Oh, like there's like it's always on the live chat is where it's at.
Right, that's on. Anyway, I'm looking at that, but whatever.
All right, who do you got at 18?
All right. Oh, that's right. Going back to me first. So 18, I have the LSU Tigers. I feel like you had them already, if I remember correctly. I think I remember you saying them.
Yes, I had.
You mentioned them. So, Ed Oregon led the Tigers to a January bowl game. The addition of Ohio State transfer quarterback Joe Burrow, that should excite some LSU fans. If it doesn't, something's wrong here.
Because LSU has not had a quarterback in decades. They have lived and died off the running game.
So, with that being said, though, keep in mind, LSU still has a really rough schedule that sees them opening up against Miami and Arlington, and then going cross-division opponents in Florida and Georgia in consecutive weeks. And don't forget, you still got Alabama and Auburn in there as well. So, we'll have to wait and see what happens with LSU. But we don't. Wow, we're going to know enough about this team before the Tide comes to Baton Rouge on November 3rd.
And we got to keep saying it. Ranking manipulation. Like I was saying earlier, they could easily put LSU even higher because when I look at this LSU Miami game, I see this being the second best game of the first weekend. The first one we're going to get to later. Because, again, we got to say ranking manipulation.
Just seems to always be the go-to.
Not only is it the go-to, but it's the truth.
I don't even. I'm looking at this right now.
I'll guarantee you that ranking manipulation gets said on this stream at least 8 more times.
Yeah, I was just looking at the chat because I found it on YouTube. I was looking at it in the Google Hangout. But anyway, so who's your number 18?
Number 18, I got the Texas Longhorns.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I think this Big 12, I think this could be the Longhorns' Big 12 to lose. Because of the Oklahoma post-Baker Mayfield era, Oklahoma may take a small step back. And when I say small step, it may not be like a major one. I feel like maybe the small step could be like 10-2 and miss the playoff. I still feel like Oklahoma's going to be pretty efficient. They always seem to be. But I don't think they're going to make the college football playoff this year. So I think the Big 12 is the Longhorns to lose at this point. And if they can get their redemption from week 1 last year against Maryland, considering with Maryland having all these distractions now, these allegations against them, this could be the perfect opportunity for Texas to get a good win to start the season off.
Let's see it.
And with the week 3 matchup against USC, Ranking manipulation.
Always. That seriously, you need to go in right now and change the title of this video. Just straightforward hashtag ranking manipulation.
I'll add that in at the end.
Anyway. All right, where are we at? 17?
Yes.
All right. So I have the UCF Knights led by Josh Heupel, if I'm even saying that right. He's inheriting a very talented and a very fun team. Scott Frost is back at Nebraska, so we'll have to see what goes on there. But they're led by quarterback Mackenzie Milton, so that is not a bad player to be led by.
It is not a bad player to be led by because he put up Baker Mayfield type numbers last season, but they didn't really show it because he played for a group of 5 team.
Exactly. That's actually where I was just getting into. So a September showdown where they faced Florida Atlantic. Got some pretty huge. That's going to be a pretty huge to do and some justifications for that.
Florida Atlantic might be in the top 25 when we get there. Ranking manipulation.
So that's my number 17.
All right, my number 17 is Florida State, and we kind of covered that already with the week 1 match against Virginia Tech. It's going to be pretty interesting to see the debut of Willie Taggart in the Florida Seminoles coaching gear. That'll be interesting, especially with Florida State having a bad season last year. Like I said, seeing their quarterback go down the opener against mighty Alabama kind of ripped the soul out of that team. Let's see if Willie Taggart builds that soul right back into Florida State football. Because 6-6 is a very disappointing season for Florida State. It doesn't matter like how bad the team was. 6-6 is very disappointing. When you're a fan of Florida State, you expect at least 9-3 consistently. So last season for Florida State was unacceptable.
Like I said, I don't know much about what happened with Florida State last year, other than what you just said, but definitely Willie Taggart. I actually know somewhat on Willie Taggart. You should be able to turn that around, or at least start to turn it around. So, anyway, number 16 coming up on probably the 25-minute mark at least. So, the West Virginia Mountaineers are in my number 16 slots.
No way, seriously?
Yeah.
Okay, I also got West Virginia number 16, so you can kind of give your little gist, and then we can move on to 15.
Yep. So, they have a top flight quarterback in Will Grier who finished with 3,490, 95 yards, I think, 30 some odd touchdowns, and less than 15 interceptions. So, that's how he was last year. Expect more of the same, at least I'd hope. All-American receiver David Sills returns along with Gary Jennings, and WVU will put up quite a bit of points with that combination there. Well, the defense allowed 31.5 points per game last season. Will they improve enough along the way? Hard to say. So that's the biggest question: if the Mountaineers if they truly want to contend for a championship in the Big 12.
Early on in the season, I did say West Virginia could be a dark horse, maybe sneak into the college football playoff. But I just feel like with that defense, knowing the Big 12 is not known for defense, I don't think that could happen anymore. Like I thought early in the summer, like around June and July, I thought maybe West Virginia could be that dark horse to make the college football playoff. But I don't find that the case.
All right. Number 15.
Hopefully we have the same teams like for the rest of the stream, so it kind of cuts the stream in half for us.
Well, I know we have the same top 4, maybe different order, but same 4 teams, I believe. But we'll get there. So, number 15. Go ahead. Who do you think it is? Go ahead.
I'm guessing it's one of the Michigan teams, but I'm hoping that it's somebody else.
Somebody else, but I think you brought them up already. We got the Trojans, number 15. So, Sam Darnold is gone. He's already rotting with the Jets. He's doing fine. They're not. Not the point. So the focus will be on the quarterback battle among JT Daniels, Matt Fink, Jack Sears, and Holden Thomas. Stephen Carr should have a breakout season at running back. However, Coach Clay Helton has reestablished a winning culture within that program. USC Trojans, what do you got without Sam Darnold? Show us.
And to add to the fight, week 3 against the Texas Longhorns.
That's going to be a big one.
Absolutely, especially with how close it was last year. Because that was at the point in the season where Sam Darnold really struggled. He turned the ball over a ton. It's going to be interesting how they come out without Sam Darnold in that matchup.
I'm almost. I was looking online to get like ideas because you literally threw this at me 6 hours before filming this, so I had to do like a lot of research. I was actually really surprised, knowing what I knew about the Trojans, that they were still ranked as high as they were, especially without some key pieces, especially Sam Darnold.
This is probably where the people kind of rank.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, my number 15 is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame got off to a hot start at the beginning of the year. However, it became a disappointing end of the year. Like, it was kind of disappointing toward the end. They had just missed out on college football playoff. It was a humiliating loss, 41-8 against Miami, the season breaker for Notre Dame. But I feel like Notre Dame, they got an opportunity to get a win in week 1 against Michigan.
All right. Number 14. You're kind of freezing a little bit, so I'm pretty sure you're done. But
yeah.
Okay, number 14. I have the Stanford Cardinal.
Okay, all right.
KJ Costello's continued development is imperative to continued success for Stanford. But getting Bryce Love back for another season is big. It's huge in that regard. So they're all I cannot talk. I'm sorry. They're always in the mix with David Shaw. September's schedule is tough with San Diego State and USC. They're both at home. I'm sorry. San Diego State and USC at home. Sorry. Can't talk. Followed by road games at Oregon and Notre Dame. Speaking of Notre Dame, you just brought them up. So that should be some interesting games right there. Sorry for my rambling and broken English, but
yeah, I am
that's how I got number 14.
September in college football is always exciting. It's always the appetizer. It's always like kind of seeing who's going to do what. October is kind of like the boring month of college football. It's like you don't feel like the upsets happen in October. But once that calendar turns November, I know I do my best to keep it appropriate, but the crap's going to hit the fan when it hits November. That's usually what happens. So to kind of prepare yourselves for the upcoming season, expect September to be completely wild. Expect October to just kind of be status quo. And expect November for crap to hit the fan.
Basically expect everything to go topsy-turvy.
All right, number 14, I've got the Michigan Wolverines. And I feel like this week 1 matchup against Notre Dame, I think that's a must-win for Michigan, or else I feel like this could be the end of Jim Harbaugh. I feel like this is Jim Harbaugh's last chance as a Michigan head coach. If he can't beat Notre Dame or Wisconsin or Ohio State this year, I think Jim Harbaugh's done because of the quality and not quantity.
I mean, I feel like they kind of had to know that they were taking a risk from the get-go. I mean, come on. You led the 49ers of all teams to a Super Bowl, lost to your brother, and then within, I think 2 years, won 4 games? I mean, you kind of had to know that you weren't getting, a Bill Belichick or a John Madden or anything. Like, I mean, come on. You're getting freaking Harbaugh for crying out loud.
And the reason why they probably wanted to even offer it to him is because it would be his dream job almost. I mean, it's his alma mater, and he's got experience coaching the college game with Stanford. But if you realize that Stanford has had the tools and the necessities, I feel like the reason why they did that is because I believe that he kind of paved the way for Stanford, like for Stanford football to be consistent. Because he was the head coach when they pull off the ups against USC when Stanford was 41-point underdogs. So I feel like it's not a bad hire, but I don't. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like going on like a blind date, like find someone from like your Tinder page, and they're not exactly who you think they are.
Oh god! But here's my thing: if you want to go the whole alma mater route, you're basically saying that, and anyone who else says this is basically saying that they're going 5 years premature Madden 19 with Colt Cruz and his high school alma mater when the coach dies. Spoiler alert. But like, come, like, I mean,
You ruined that for me.
sorry,
Nah,
the dude's 97 years old. It was coming. You're basically going for the Cinderella return story here. I mean, come on now. You need to have a coach now. Oh, this guy went here. He was great when he was here. Let's bring him back and see what he can do. No. If you want to win the championship game, you need to bring in someone who can actually coach, not someone who lost to a very much lesser team in the Baltimore Ravens in Super Bowl, what was it, 47? 40,
yeah, but come
whatever
on.
Super Bowl was.
Okay, come on. Don't act like the game was rigged for Ray Lewis to go out on top.
What do you fucking do? It was Ray Lewis. Sorry, but sorry, I have so much crap for Ray Lewis and Ray Rice for that matter.
Yeah, don't even act like that was not rigged for Ray Lewis to go out on top.
It was beyond. Beyond. Anyway, back to what we're talking about. Number 13, I have Mark D'Antonio and the It's Never Over Michigan State Spartans. So, had to pull the quote. I had to. All right. So, Brian Lewerke, he emerged as Michigan. Thank you. Emerged as Michigan State's quarterback of the future just last year in 2017. And that was key to another successful season, and one that they definitely had with a remarkable turnaround thrown in there as well. So, running back LJ Scott is returning, and Ohio State and Michigan must visit East Lansing. And just like I said, D'Antonio likes to say, it's never over.
Well, except when it's 27-0 in the fourth quarter in the semifinal.
Work with me here.
See, I'm just trying to pull out all the facts. I'm gonna put in my earbuds because I feel like my mic is kind of like, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it. I feel like it's kind of like carrying over too much. So I feel like if I put these in, it might kind of improve the quality.
I mean, I'll be honest, it doesn't sound any different, but once you haven't done anything yet.
All right, yeah, because I had it all the way at 100, and I put in the earbuds, and now I'm at a 30 for volume.
I'm just trying to get this to load back up so I can see what people are saying, and it's showing me a video from Chris Smoove, and that's it.
Because I've had some kind of concerns in the past about microphone issues. Like I've had it brought to my attention in the past, and I thought I had it fixed, but I did have it fixed for a couple of months. But around the time it hit, like, I don't know what it was, like whether it was like April or May or something like that. Apparently, I've had kind of inconsistencies with it. So if it kind of sounds different, let me know in the live chat. That way, if it really is the issue, I can take care of it as soon as I possibly can. I'm thinking about getting maybe a new microphone, hopefully kind of soon. Not sure how soon, because I got some things ahead of me, hopefully, if everything turns out right in the real world.
So, who's your number 13?
All right, my number 13 is Penn State. And I know I might get some critics here saying that it's probably a little bit too low, but I feel like it's kind of the right place. You may have lost Saquon Barkley, and you may have lost your offensive coordinator, but you still got Trace McSorley coming back for senior year. You may have lost some weapons on your offensive side of the ball, but I feel like this is the exact place to put Penn State, considering how stacked the Big Ten is, with Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin. The Big Ten stacked. I feel like this is kind of the perfect place to put Penn State at.
I mean, I definitely would have to agree with you on that one. I don't even. There's not really much more you can even say other than it's stacked. I mean, come on. So here's what I'm going to do for my number 12. I'm going to give you the team, and because I ranted on it for probably 3-4 minutes, I'm not even going to explain. I'm just going to say it and move on. Number 12, Michigan Wolverines.
All right, kind of like what I said. I feel like week 1 is a must-win for them.
That's probably the biggest understatement other than rank manipulation.
Yes, definitely ranking manipulation, especially putting Michigan and Notre Dame as a top 15 matchup. Because if you look at all the matchups that we're probably going to get, if the matchups are even as close as to both of our rankings, it's ranking manipulation.
Exactly. So I'm looking to see if I'm more of a baseball guy, if you haven't been able to tell. I'm looking to see if the Yankee Blue Jay game ever came back.
Oh, come on, bro. The Major League Baseball is boring until the playoffs time.
It got rained out, but it's an official game. Yankees won.
All right. You ready for my number 12?
Go for it.
All right. I've got the Stanford Cardinal at number 12. With Bryce Love coming back as running back, Heisman hopeful, who should be the early favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. I feel like the only thing that is setting back Stanford from being a team that could sneak into the college football playoff is quarterback play. Quarterback play has not been the best for Stanford ever since the departure of Andrew Luck. However, Stanford has lived and died off defense and off the running game. As we've seen in the past, Toby Gerhart, Christian McCaffrey, Bryce Love. I feel like Stanford's going to be very consistent this year. Wouldn't surprise me if they were in a New Year's Six game. Wouldn't surprise me if they kind of ran away with the Pac-12 at the very end. Because that match between Washington and Stanford could be the difference. In fact, maybe not even if. I think it will be the difference.
That's, again, if that isn't the difference, it's not going to be too far off of the difference. I'll tell you that right now.
And Washington will be very hungry. They're going to be very hungry because you could argue and say that Stanford was the team that ruined Washington's college football playoff hopes. It wasn't. They lost to, I don't know who it was. They lost to some team. They lost to they lost to Arizona State, who eventually fired their head coach.
Yeah. That was
so. If quarterback play for Stanford, if it just magically just comes to fruition, I think we could see Stanford in the college football playoff.
I can see it. Well, hell, I commented on it earlier. I mean,
we're getting close to the top 10.
We are. Number 11. I have my cousin's alma mater, Miami Hurricanes. Hurricanes definitely arrived earlier than expected this year, and despite 3 losses to end the season, they should be back in ACC contention with Malik Rosier, and a core that includes running back Travis Homer and a very strong defense. Now, the non-conference schedule features a monster opener against LSU, at Jerry World, and a road trip to Toledo. It's got to be interesting for the Hurricanes this season.
I'm telling you, it was that turnover chain that really got Miami back to where it was. It really motivated that defense. I feel like the U came back for the first 10 weeks of the year, but kind of once we hit toward the end, it kind of just hit rock bottom. And I really don't blame Miami. I just feel like toward the end of the season, they had a winning streak. They won like 10, 11 in a row. And it just kind of fell apart on them. Because that's kind of what happens with young teams. Miami was a very young team last year. and Malik Rozier coming back at quarterback. You got Travis Homer coming back, who took over for Mark Walton, who suffered a season-ending injury last year. So he'll be back. And the Miami defense, it should be improved. I've got Miami a lot higher than 11. I'll let you know where it is when we get there.
Something tells me you have them top 5, but just go on with your number 11.
All right, my number 11, the Michigan State Spartans. We kind of already covered them earlier. However, is Mark D'Antonio kind of feeling the pressure? Because there were reports that I believe he was one of the coaches that was aware of the Larry Nance situation, and he didn't say anything about it.
I think so.
So could this be D'Antonio's final season in Michigan State?
Does he make it the full season, depending on what happens with that?
Yeah, because I feel like there are more things to be coming because, let's just face it, a lot of things still were being situated at Penn State when it was being dealt with.
Right.
But I think Michigan State, I feel like they're a dark horse to make the college football playoff. In fact, it's not going to surprise me if they indeed do make the college football playoff. Because they've got, I believe it's 19 or 18 returning starters. 10 of them are on offense. I believe 7 or 8 are on defense. So I feel like Michigan State, we might be seeing them in the college football playoff.
Definitely quite possible. I'll definitely be...
Despite the Big Ten being stacked.
Yeah. Ranking manipulation.
Not ranking manipulation, but actually, yeah, kind of. Because
I was about to say, I mean, come on, let's think about this.
With the Big Ten being stacked, if they can just pull out win after win, they've got the resume to make the college football playoff.
All right, so we can stop yawning.
We're in the top 10.
You're officially in the top 10. Now, my number 10, it may be higher. Actually, no, I think you said them already. You did. The Penn State Nittany Lions. So, they're 4 points away from an undefeated season in 2017. However, that is also when they had Saquon Barkley.
Right, and they also missed the college football playoff because they didn't have the quality. They only had the quantity.
I was getting there, but yeah. So, James Franklin continues to build the recruiting, but they have the new offensive coordinator, Ricky, say his last name, Rahne?
I'm not sure.
R-A-H-N-E. Rahne? I don't know. So, he called a great game in the Fiesta Bowl win for the Nittany Lions. However, how is that going to affect Trace McSorley going forward? Have to wait and find out. See how Penn State does, and see what they do without Saquon Barkley, who's now also rotting in East Rutherford, New Jersey.
I think Penn State takes a small step back this year. That's why I put them a little bit lower than you. I still think Penn State can win about 9 or 10 games. I just don't think they're going to be talked about as a top 10 team. Unless they can prove me wrong, which I don't think this can prove me wrong because I think this is the third time you've mentioned it. The Big Ten is stacked.
Sorry, one of your viewers added me. Was that your whole? Oh, that was for your explanation on my team. All right, Johnny Talk Sports. Who starts off your top 10? The world.
All right. My number 10 team is the Auburn Tigers. Now, I don't know how people are going to feel about this. They did lose 2 games last year in the regular season, but they pulled off upset wins over Georgia and Alabama in the regular season to get them to the SEC championship game. They got Jarrett Stidham coming back at quarterback for one more season. We'll see what happens, though. No more Kerryon Johnson for this Auburn Tigers team. I feel like Auburn may have been able to beat Georgia the second time if Kerryon Johnson was healthy. I don't see Auburn beating Alabama again this year. I think Auburn, I feel like them at number 10, I think it's a good start. They may fall back a little bit. They may end up in maybe 16 or 17 land. in January when this is all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Part of me thinks that Auburn may be higher in the top 10, but then part of me also thinks that they may not even crack the top 10. Personally, I do have them in my top 10, but I'm also kind of wondering if I maybe rank them a little too high. So.
All right, who's your number 9?
Number 9, we got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. That was a terrible Irish impression, but you get my point. I loved playing with them back in NCAA football. I think it was like 12, where you could do the mascot clash or whatever. I would always do the Irish versus the Syracuse Orange. Just have a bunch of fruit running on the field against these little leprechauns. It was so fun.
Oh, yeah, speaking of NCAA football, I've got a big proposal for Madden 20 because considering next year we're going to get Madden 20, I feel like it should be something very dramatic and huge. I don't know if I want to say this today or just wait for another day, but I've got an idea that's very exciting.
You'll have
we have time to talk about it. I think maybe
you'll have to put me onto this idea.
Yeah, I feel like the idea is gonna be so exciting. We might have to wait for another day.
Oh, really quick.
But it's got something to do with NCAA football not being available anymore. It's got something to do with that. I will keep the suspense in for the people that are watching this. If we have time at the end, I'll make a deal. If we have time at the very end, I'll propose the idea.
Tell you what, if it's before midnight Eastern Standard, we'll talk about it. Because I'm not going to start the Brett Barrett any later than like 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm telling you that right now. Anyway, going back to my number 9. In November, that saw the Irish go 2-2, overshadowed a 10-3 season. And the offensive line must replace 2 top 10 NFL draft picks in Quentin Nelson and I can never say his name, Mike McGlinchey.
Yes.
Brandon Wimbush, a talented group of receivers who he can work with. But that's also a development area that could put Notre Dame over the top this coming season.
I feel like Notre Dame's going to be probably ranked in that top 10 because the reason why I feel like that is Notre Dame was one of college football's golden teams. And by golden teams, I'm talking Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma. I think Miami's on that rise of getting back to that privilege. And Notre Dame. I feel like those are 5 of college football's 5 golden teams. I think there's about 10 golden teams out there, but those are just 5 of them.
I would agree. I would definitely agree.
Yeah, there's maybe about 10 to 15 golden teams in college football, and the rest are just the rest.
It's like the classic scene in Moneyball. There's the good teams. There's the bad teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. Then there's us.
I still got to see that movie. I've only seen like the first 20 minutes of it.
Okay, I don't know what's worse. The fact that you're saying you still have to see the movie or the fact that what I just quoted was in the first 20 minutes of the movie.
It was like 3 years ago, so I don't really remember that much of it.
Anyway, who's your number 9?
My number 9 is the Oklahoma Sooners. And I think Oklahoma, we kind of talked about this. They might underachieve this year. And I encourage Sooner fans to not be discouraged if they don't go 11-1, if they don't go 10-2, to not be discouraged by it. Because Kyler Murray, the Texas A&M transfer, I think he could light him up in the Big 12. I feel like now Oklahoma is that fit for Kyler Murray. I think he's been waiting long enough. And I think he's waiting to tear it up. I really want to see Kyler Murray lead Oklahoma to the college football playoff, but I just don't think it can happen this year, considering how stacked that Alabama is, how stacked the Clemson is, Ohio State's being stacked up, Miami being stacked up, Washington being stacked up, Michigan State and Stanford could be dark horses. I just don't think this could line up for Oklahoma this year, but it easily could the next.
I agree. I definitely agree with that one. I'll talk about Oklahoma here shortly because they are coming up. I'm not going to tell you where, but they are coming up. So, my number 8, I just said that I may have even ranked them maybe too high. Maybe I didn't rank them high enough. Wait and see. The Auburn Tigers. Gus Malzahn opted to stay at Auburn, and he had pretty good reason to do so. Huge amount of talent on both sides of the ball, not just offense, not just defense. You got a pretty good, well-rounded team there, my friend. So they could definitely repeat as SEC West champions, maybe even finish a job this time. It's hard to say. But they also have Sid Ham back. Leading rushers Kerryon Johnson and Cameron Petway are gone. Jeff Holland, Carlton Davis, they're gone as well. Hard to say what's going to happen with Auburn. They still have a lot of talent, like I said, on both sides of the ball. But a lot of key players are gone now. So they also have to travel to Tuscaloosa and Athens, which they didn't have to do last time.
All right, my number 8, the Michigan Spartans. Wait, what number were we on? 7 or 8? I forgot that 1 second.
That was my number 8.
Okay, my number 8, Michigan State. I'm not really going to cover it that much. Just kind of, I explained what I thought about Michigan State about maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago, so you can just look back at that part. Because I don't really want to repeat the same things over and over again. Unless it's ranking manipulation, I don't want to repeat anything.
Got hashtag rank manipulation in the chat.
Should have wrote it up here, but my marker's all the way on the other side of my room.
All right, I just want to address this really quick on stream. Benjamin Bierce, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. At the very start of this video, I said I'm not the biggest college football person. I'm kind of working my way through this as I go. Hopefully I'm not doing a terrible job. More of a college basketball guy myself, but Syracuse is my local college, so I guess I'd have to go with Syracuse. So, sorry. He kept adding me, so I'm like, hey, real quick, this is what it is. Anyway.
Yeah, and Benjamin really loves to speak to you. Like, sometimes he'll maybe send a couple of things just in case you don't respond right away, but if you don't respond to something, he'll let you know if you hadn't yet.
Anyway, so what are we at, number 7?
Yes.
Number 7, I have the Washington Huskies. So.
Okay, yes, this saves a bunch of time, but I also have them at number 7.
Awesome.
Actually, and the theme for this idea is...
I say, wait a minute. I gave my spiel last time we had a comment once, so why don't you give yours this time around?
I'm just going to pretend this is up here. Ranking manipulation. Because Washington and Auburn play each other in week 1. When I talked about how Miami and LSU was going to be the second best matchup on opening weekend, the first one is Washington and Auburn. It's not going to shock me one bit. I will be 0% shocked when Washington and Auburn are both ranked in the top 10 to begin the season. Because they always have to have that top 10 matchup right away to start the season off, to get us all hyped, to get us all talking, to get us all screaming, to get us all rambling and raving. So that's kind of why Washington's there. I mean, Jake Browning's coming back for his senior season. I think he's still got a lot to prove, especially with the Pac-12 being weak in a way, but you only really have Stanford and Oregon to deal with. That's really your biggest competition. I feel like USC takes a step back. I feel like if Washington wins against Auburn in week 1, I think they could have the golden ticket to the College Bowl playoff. I'd say if Washington beats Auburn week 1, I think there is a 84% chance that the Washington Huskies make the College Bowl playoff. That 50%, I feel like that's Stanford getting in the way.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like you said, if Washington wins it, then I definitely see. But Stanford is, without a doubt, the one team, is at least it comes to mind, that has a chance to stand in Washington's way. I know I kind of said, but
I feel like going into this, I feel like Washington could be the early favorite, but I don't think it'd be by that many points. Probably about 3 or 4 in point spread if you really do that
honestly.
stuff. Like I feel like watching Auburn week 1. I think that's a toss-up right now. But I would say the Huskies are a slight favorite.
All right. So, number 6. I can't remember who you said them or not yet, so I'm just going to go for it. Wisconsin Badgers.
Okay.
You're like, why? So, Wisconsin returns quarterback Alex Hornibrook and star running back Jonathan Taylor. However, I'm assuming it's Paul Christ, because that seems to be how I spelled it.
Chris.
Thank you. Names, I'm not good with them. He continues to improve the skill on both sides of the ball. Familiar patterns, offensive line, and also the defense. A lot of people say defense wins game. I'll let you guys be the judge. The next step is finishing the job with a Big Ten championship game. However, if they were to do that, then they just might make the playoffs. I said that totally backwards. You know what I meant.
Of course, because Wisconsin, they almost made college football playoff, just a heartbreaker in the Big Ten championship game. But let's be honest. Let's not act like that game wasn't rigged to get Alabama in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, me and my conspiracy theories, though, that's like 3 games now that I've already said that have been rigged already. All right, my number 6, the Miami Hurricanes.
Whoa.
Yeah, and we've talked about them already in the stream. We've mentioned how they got a big matchup in week 1. I feel like that week 1 matchup, I think, is going to set the tone for Miami. I think that week 1 match will dictate how the season goes for them. Like, if they get blown out by 21 or more, I feel like this could be the start of a miserable season for them. But if they can start off with a win, get that signature victory to get into the college football playoff, like to build that resume. Because the problem I had, I don't know if you saw me at that time, but I was doing all my rankings or like in my prediction videos weekly. I kept saying that I'm not sold on Miami. I'm not sold on Miami. It took a 41-8 victory against Notre Dame for me to finally be sold on Miami. And if he eventually watches, Eric Birch will explain it, that I was very low on Miami all throughout the season last year.
Yeah, I mean,
so I feel like this week 1 matchup will dictate how Miami season goes.
Miami is definitely one of the teams that, like you said, the 41-8 game was definitely, I'd say, a turning point for the team. So, anyway.
But I'm interested to see if Miami, hang on, if you don't mind, just for one quick second.
Absolutely.
If Miami starts off really hot, if they get off to like a 9-0, 10-0 start, I'm going to be interested to see if this team can finish the job this year, finish the regular season unbeaten, and hopefully at least compete this time in the ACC championship game. Because let's be honest, it's going to be Clemson and Miami in the ACC title game again this year. Because who else could it be?
No one really comes to mind. And that's not just because I don't follow this much. I know enough, and no one else really comes to mind except those 2 teams.
And can this young team finish the job this time? Because how I feel like maybe the 10-0, 11-0 start, it may have got to them a little bit, and that's probably what caused the downfalls. Maybe it could have been ego, or it could have been mentality. Hopefully, this Miami team has a big mentality going into the year, knowing that, especially if they get ranked high, they got something to prove.
Absolutely. You ready?
All right, top 5 now. Here we go.
Number 5, we have the Oklahoma Sooners. So, Lincoln Riley, oh my goodness. I can't think of a better job he could have done to replace Bob Stoops in year 1. I mean, that was just absolutely crazy. However, they are now without key player Baker Mayfield. And a few other key pieces went as well. Baker Mayfield obviously being the top one, all went to the NFL. So, Kyler Murray and company definitely struggled in the spring game, but my list got cut off. But they should be ready to take the job over from those key players. Early test against Florida Atlantic and UCLA accelerate that learning curve just a little.
I feel like Kyler Murray's ready, though, because I feel like I got to hear myself talk to make sure my mic isn't really still working, because I feel like it may not be the best. Apparently, it's behind a little bit in the stream. All right, it kind of sounds normal, but I got a goal to kind of adjust it a bit coming up. Hopefully by the time the season starts, I can get it adjusted a little bit, but if not, try to bear with me. I would appreciate that. But number 5, I've got the Wisconsin Badgers. I just feel like this Badgers team, I think they got a lot to prove, especially, like you said, with Hornibrook and Jonathan Taylor, who lit it up as a freshman last year. I feel like they got something to prove, considering how close they were to making the college football playoff. They were arguably one drive away from making the college football playoff. Would they have beaten Alabama? Probably not. But the world will never know, though, unfortunately.
How many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop?
Yeah, again, mostly the things we've repeated this stream are rankings manipulation and the Big Ten is stacked. Those are the two things we've repeated, and both of them could kind of apply here. But I feel like it's Big Ten and SEC bias here, because this could be the year where we get two teams from the same conference from both sides. Or we can get two teams from the SEC or two teams from the Big Ten. I feel like, well, the crazy stuff that happened last year, I feel like we could easily see that this year with 4 teams that are two conferences in that playoff. Where we finally reached our top 4.
I would say, yeah, I mean, I don't have much to elaborate, but anyway. All right, number 4. This is where I think we actually start to get relatively similar, I believe. I think we're a little different, but not too much. So, my number 4, coming out of Ohio State, it's the Buckeyes. Dwayne Haskins won the starting job in a fierce quarterback competition in Columbus. Tate Martell will be an interesting player as we watch him in the fall camp. So, Urban Meyer kind of has the usual aspects to the NFL draft. J.K. Dobbins, and Nick Bosa. Thank you. And Nick Bosa, they're also back. However, Ohio State is still a team to beat in the Big Ten, despite trips to TCU, Penn State, and Michigan State this upcoming season.
I definitely feel like Ohio State could make the college football playoff this year. In fact, I'll just be honest. I'm not really making who I predict will make the college football playoff like my preseason picks. I'm not going to get into that yet. But I feel like there's about maybe 17 teams that can really have a realistic chance of making this college football playoff. I'm not going to say who those teams are now, but I really feel like there's at least 15 to 17 of them. But I feel like for Ohio State to be one of those 17 teams, Urban Meyer has to be having that headset the entire season. Because I know he's been placed on administrative leave, the investigation's going on. You may look at this Ohio State team on paper and say, this is a very talented team. It doesn't matter who the head coach is. But if you remember the year that Ohio State, where they suspended Jim Tressel, I believe they suspended for that entire season. Things just fell apart for the Buckeyes. If I remember correctly, they went like 6-6 or 7-5 that year with Luke Fickell the head coach. So for Ohio State to be one of those teams that can make the college football playoff, they have to have Urban Meyer with that headset week 1.
Agreed. Totally agree. Sorry. doing a couple things to get ready for stream. All right. My number 3, someone who we've talked about here and there. But you did your number 4, right?
Oh, I did not. My number 4 is the Georgia Bulldogs.
I was about to say, I'm like, wait a minute. Did you even do your number 4?
Yeah, I know. You're jumping ahead of the stream already. But anyway,
right.
Georgia at number 4 for me. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Georgia comes out, how they respond to the heartbreaking loss in the national championship. I feel like Georgia could easily make it back to the SEC championship. They did lose some key talents. They lost Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, Roquan Smith, Lorenzo Carter, Isaiah Wynn. They've lost so much talent from that national championship runner-up team. But I feel like they've got enough. I feel like DeAndre Swift's going to have a breakout year. I think Jake Fromm's going to be back. He did suffer a hand injury in a boating accident, but he should be good to go week 1. And even if not, they've got depth at the quarterback position with Justin Fields. I feel like we're going to see Justin Fields. I think we're going to see him get a lot of snaps this year, especially maybe in that week 1 matchup.
That's definitely unfair accusations. Isaiah Wynn, Patriots out for the season.
All right, if I can stop you there for a minute, College Football Dojo. Subscribe to him as well. He's got a pretty great channel. I'm looking forward to watching his videos this year. He says that Georgia's schedule is equivalent to a JV high school team's.
Well, maybe that's why I have them ranked number 3. And I'm not really going to elaborate because...
He also just said that literally Missouri is the only trap game unless Kentucky competes somehow.
Yeah. And because it's probably not going to happen.
I know I'm not sleeping on Missouri, but I feel like Drew Lock's going to have to carry that team.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, Georgia's my number 3. You just went on with them. So I'm not going to say too much because we had pretty much all the same points, other than the fact that they're now building around sophomore Jake Fromm. Kirby Smart has an all-time recruiting class coming in, and they're in great position to potentially repeat in the SEC East.
Okay, my number 3 is Ohio State, and I'm not going to really waste any time at all. Just kind of exactly what I just said when you mentioned Ohio State as your number 4. So now that we're at our top 2, since we made the consensus on the number 1 and number 2 teams, I'm sure everyone in the stream can agree with the top 2. I think even the fans can agree with the stream. I think everyone were in agreement on who the top 2 teams are heading into the season. So do you want to have the honors?
All right. So I'll say who they are, and then I'll let Johnny elaborate on kind of why we both kind of came to it, because we talked about our points, and they're pretty much the same as well. So I'll say who they are, and I'll let him elaborate. You want me to just give them both, and you can elaborate on both?
Absolutely. Let's do our 1s and 2s.
All right. So number 2, we both agreed, at least I'm pretty sure we did, on the Clemson Tigers.
Absolutely. Correct.
And then number 1, I mean, hello, who's left but the Alabama Crimson Tide?
No, I was thinking of putting Nebraska at number 1.
Oh, you know what? I think Binghamton University and the football team they don't have, I think they're number 1. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, who are we kidding? Alabama's number 1. Anyone who doesn't think Alabama's number 1 clearly has not watched college football in the last decade. They've been watching 90s football.
Go ahead with the explanations.
Well, I mean, there's really not much to discuss. I mean, Alabama's the number 1 team. I mean, I will be stunned. I will go completely off if Alabama's not the number 1 team to start the season. Defending national champions. You've got a quarterback battle, Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. You can literally play 2 quarterbacks. You can just literally just give them equal amount of snaps. Doesn't matter who you're going to play at quarterback. I mean, the week 1 match against Louisville, it's not even interesting anymore with Lamar Jackson now in the NFL. So it's no longer interesting. Alabama's going to beat the brakes off Louisville week 1. Probably, I don't know, they'll probably put up 60 on Louisville if they really want to. They'll do it if they really want to do that. It'll be like, I envision it being like 60-something to 7. I feel like Louisville will get a touchdown out of the game. Kind of early spoilers for my week 1 predictions.
Plot twist, Alabama's not even in the top 10.
And it doesn't matter who you play quarterback because you've got depth at the running back position. You've got depth on defense. Alabama, it's just like they grow these recruits off of trees. It's just win and repeat. Win and repeat. Bring them to the NFL, bring back younger guys, and repeat the process for the next decade as we have to watch in sulk and somber.
I think it's safe to say that the top 2 are the only 2, without a doubt by anyone, the only 2 teams that do not suffer from ranking manipulation.
Absolutely. And with Clemson being number 2, let's just face it. Clemson's returning all these starters. They've got Kelly Bryant back at quarterback. I think he'll improve this season. I think maybe last year he had a little bit of pressure. He was able to handle it pretty solidly, taking over for a legend in Deshaun Watson. They've got their entire defensive line coming back. So basically, Alabama's number 1 because they're the consensus number 1, and Clemson's number 2 because they're the only team that matches up to Alabama on paper. I'd say Ohio State could, but with the distractions with their university, I feel like if Urban Meyer's not wearing that headset this season, I don't think Ohio State's got a chance against Alabama anymore. So I'm kind of just foreshadowing Alabama and Clemson in the national championship game. We'll see Alabama versus Clemson for the 4th year in a row, just like we've seen Golden State versus Cleveland for the last 4 years. This could be your last year we see Alabama and Clemson, at least for a while.
And I think it's safe to say, totally off topic, but I think it's probably safe to say that we have seen Cleveland and Golden State facing off against each other for the last time, at least for now. And also what we're not going to see is Stephen Curry and LeBron James facing off each other in the NBA Finals. At least for the next 4 years. College Football Dojo, boycott the NBA.
I've kind of already done that.
If by some stroke of luck, it's the Warriors and the Cavs in the finals again this year, I'm done. Because there's no way in hell that the Cavs are going to go to the finals with Kevin Love leading that team. And that's basically who's leading that team is Kevin Love. Rant over.
Let's take the next couple of minutes to answer some questions. A lot of these are not really questions, but I'm going to try to get to some of them. Let's see. We've got Benjamin Bierce. What's a pro comparison for Justin Herbert? I don't know. I can't really answer that question right now because I am interested to see what Oregon will do this season, though.
That's tough.
Yeah, because I haven't really done many comparisons yet. I haven't focused on NFL draft stuff yet.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. The answer to that question, at least from my perspective, is going to be a TBD.
Yes, to be announced.
Or TBA, that works too.
I'll probably answer that question to Benjamin privately, probably.
Yeah. You can definitely answer this one more than I can, if I can find it.
Oh, is that the one from Sports Source?
Yeah, any tips to grow your channel? Stay relevant. Keep up with the trends if you can. Like back when Pokemon Go was a thing, a lot of channels went up on the rise because they started uploading Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that game was stupid.
Hey. Anyway, follow through with what you're gonna say. That's actually some advice I can take because there's been 3 series in the past year, and I said I was gonna follow through, and I've just gotten too busy to where I couldn't follow through. So if you don't think that you can basically keep up with a series or whatever it may be, don't commit to it. Don't say, hey, I'm going to do this 30 episode series every blah, 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 blah. Just don't commit to anything huge. Start small, the fan base will grow, and share that everywhere you can.
Yeah, even share it on Reddit if you have to, although Reddit's going to just throw you right off their site. But
Yeah. I don't know if you got any other advice, but that's what I got.
I would say one of the big things is, definitely don't commit to anything like big or anything you may are unsure of. Like I've been saying for the last 2 years, I'm hoping to get more fantasy football stuff out there, but I haven't even done like I don't know. I only did like maybe 2 things on fantasy football so far. I really wanted to do more, but I don't know if I'm having the time for that because this is the first time I'm actually like putting anything on the channel in the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'd probably just say, maybe not like beat yourself up over like if a video doesn't really get a certain amount of views. I mean, the football season you'll definitely get views for it, especially college football because people enjoy college football a lot. People enjoy the picks you make. They enjoy like the upsets you're making. Like last year in particular, when I was doing the rankings on my board here. Like I was doing the like before the committee announced their top 10. Like I would do a top 10 of my own to compare mine to the committee's. And the last one got a bunch of views. I believe it almost got 3,000 views on it. But my top 6 was their exact top 6. So I feel like that was a huge thing is to like if you have a prediction you've got to put on your channel, don't be afraid to make it because it could turn out right. And even if it's wrong, you've still got people that are going to view it and comment on it. Even if they comment that wrong, take the L. They're still putting the comment on there and they're still giving you the view.
Exactly. And hell, I mean, I do that with my NFL season predictions. I mean, it's not college football. And it's like, I mean, there are 3 main things I try and do predictions for every year. And it's every week of the NFL season, playoffs, except for the Pro Bowl, because I don't really care too much about the Pro Bowl. The MLB playoffs and the NBA finals. Those are the 3 main things I try and do predictions for. And they usually turn out okay on views. I'll do a free agency prediction for the MLB, like I'll take the top 50 free agents, and I will, say, okay, this is where they were last year, this is what they offer, this is where I think fits them best. Like I did that 2 years ago, I think, and it got over 1,000 views. And then I also did, something that was trending at the time, Dodger Films.
Yes, I love Dodger Field.
I think you actually watched it, Johnny. My franchise, I only did like 2 episodes of it, but the first one got over like 700 or 800 views. The only downfall was people realized, hey, this isn't Dodger Films. This is just some kid playing MLB The Show with the Dodger Films players. And the next one got like 20 views. But like I said, just College Football Dojo is actually getting some
yeah, he's getting a lot of airtime in the comment section.
Yeah. If I could bring up a tip for anyone who wants to grow, upload immediately after the previous week's games. Sunday after Saturday's slate of games, but regardless, quality over quantity. That is the biggest tip right there. Quality over quantity. Don't stress the fact that you have to put out X amount of videos. If you can only put out 1 or 2, perfectly proud videos, like with the best quality ever, you can only do that twice a week as opposed to you want to do 6 a week, then you upload twice a week or twice every couple weeks. Who cares? If you're putting out good quality, people will like it. People will continue to watch.
Yeah, and College Football Dojo suggests clickbait, like Nick Saban goes to Auburn, 100% real, HD real. Yeah, I mean, it's not that clickbait's an issue with me. It's just that I feel like it's unfair in a way. I feel like clickbait is like cheating.
Yeah.
I mean, I might try to articulate a title to make it seem like possibly it's clickbait, but it really isn't clickbait at all. Like if I mention something in a video, like the most popular one that I have, it's RIP NFL, Brandon Cooks traded to the Patriots. My main idea wasn't the NFL's dead. It was just that Brandon Cooks joined the Patriots. And that thing almost got 7,000 views.
So one YouTuber that comes to mind as far as clickbait is definitely, without a doubt, Kid Behind a Camera. Pickle Boy, Angry Grandpa Show. That's who he is. He does this all like, Bridget's cheating on me. I'm leaving Bridget, blah, 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 blah. And it's a video of their dogs.
Where were you talking Angry Grandpa?
Well, Michael, yeah.
Yeah, because he passed away, I think. Last year it was.
Like October. No, it was November. It was shortly after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Yeah. I still watch his videos all the time. He's one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. Anyway.
So yes, uploading immediately after the previous week's games. I try to do that, like, if it's possible to upload maybe Sunday evening, like, go for it. But definitely I try to make my college videos out there by at least Monday evening. I try to have my NFL one up there probably Tuesday night to kind of give like some time to break down
Give
the
that
Thursday
48
night
hour.
game. Yes.
That's what that's one thing I'm going to start doing this year. So something you can look forward to if you subscribe to me, because I'm definitely more of an NFL guy than a college football guy. What I'll do is I will upload my predictions for the week more than likely on Wednesdays, if not then Thursday morning. And then my reaction to the week will probably come out either Tuesday or Wednesday. So that's one thing you have to look forward to from me if you subscribe.
See, I'm trying to think if there's any more questions. All right, so I'm going to do a last call here. So, like, in the next 60 seconds, if anyone has a question they want to ask, we'll answer. But anything else after the 60 seconds, that opportunity will no longer be available. So
that'll be something I have to answer in the comments later.
Yeah, so I'm going to start the timer now if I can get to it.
So while we wait for that, what is it that you want to see in Madden 20?
All right. So what I want to see in Madden 20, I feel like since NCAA football is no longer being produced, especially that it's the mode I like to play. It's the franchise mode where you play the creative player, like I do my creative player. I think it'd be best if you let them do their senior year of college, like that Road to Glory mode, because I always enjoyed that Road to Glory mode. I feel like that was the main purpose of getting NCAA football, was for that Road to Glory mode, because it puts you in that experience.
Because it was what you got to do your senior year of high school and play through college, I believe it was.
Yes, that was the last one.
That was fun.
But we got about 5 seconds, so I feel like that proposal, I think it's a good proposal. Someone maybe write it to, the Madden creators. Someone should write that up there.
Write it to EA
Send an
Sports.
email. All right, so if there's no more questions, which I don't think there is.
I don't see anything.
All right, so I'm going to end the stream. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this evening. I also want to thank Ardent Sports for joining me this evening. Go on and subscribe to his channel. Check out his great content. Hopefully, I feel like this is the rebirth of Ardent Sports.
Hopefully. Hope you guys liked what you guys saw. If you want to see more from me, go subscribe to my channel. Maybe I can get Johnny to put a link in the description. I will be doing a live stream here in about 20 minutes, if that. So be sure to drop some likes on this video, some comments, subscribe to Johnny, subscribe to me, share it with everyone you know, and turn on that post notification for both of us. It really helps the channels out.
Yes, because considering a lot of the time I've noticed someone was telling me, one of my day ones, he was saying that the reason why my views could be going down a bit because they don't necessarily get that notification even if they hit the bell.
Right.
Because there are sometimes people that'll go refresh, 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 and it's up 20 views in a minute. without being a true view.
Exactly.
I think the criteria for YouTube back then was like anything more than 5 seconds was 1 view. And now it could be like anything more than 30 seconds to a minute. But I definitely feel like YouTube has changed a lot in the last year. I've started to notice that. A lot of people started to notice that.
Story Fire. That's something that's becoming really big lately. Jesse Ridgway and Brian Spitz have created that. So it's another place to upload your content as well.
All right, so is there anything else you want to add? You can, although if not, thank you for joining me this evening. I appreciate it, even if it was on such short notice. You did a great job this evening. I believe our peak was about maybe, I don't know what our peak was.
6 or 7, I believe.
Yeah, the goal was at the beginning was 6 people, so I think we got 7, so that's pretty good.
Works for me.
We probably had about 7 people in the comments, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think we'll have some people watching over time.
But yeah, like I said, just subscribe to Johnny if you want to see some more Madden, MLB content, sports news, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe to me. You won't be disappointed, I hope. So once again, Johnny, thank you so much for having me. I look forward to being on again, maybe with a little bit more notice, but definitely had a lot of fun. We've been working on this for a while. I'll be talking to you guys later. Peace out.
All right. We will see you next time. I'm going to try to be on Monday right after that AP poll gets released. It's supposed to be released at about noon Eastern time on Monday. So I'm going to try to be around for that. I'm going to try to get my instant reaction to see exactly where the Associated Press has their rankings, as the theme tonight was ranking manipulation. So that should be the new title, ranking manipulation. Thank you all. I will see you next time.